night, which is off the main drag. So as we were leaving, me and Pete Best were packing up, and we were the last to leave. And he found a condom in his luggage. And what we did, just for a laugh, was outside in the corridor, concrete. There was nothing could have caught fire at all. We pinned it up on the wall, and for a boyish prank, we set fire to it. So it left a little sort of little black sort of rubber stain on the wall, and that was like, you know, right, we're going, hey, on to better things. But of course, the fellow wasn't pleased we were going to the new club anyway, because this was competition. We were taking all our business, all his business, to this new club. So he immediately rang up the police, and we were just sort of walking down the Reaper Mall, sort of, come with me. And we were put in jail for about 3 hours, first time in our lives, you know. Bloody hell, German jail. The new club owners, where we were going to, came, I think, and gave them a bottle of scotch or something and got us out.
Well, Paul and Pete got, deported and by the police for burning the condom on the wall. And so they were back before me, and John got back about 2 days later. I was really happy, you know, thinking, oh, great. And then that's what the support of nature, you see. And Stuart just stayed there because he decided to get wry-hearted with Astrid. So the second time we went back, when I was 18, that's when we were backing up Tony Sheridan. And at that point, this fella came into the club who was, they said, oh, he's this famous record producer and musician. He was called Bert Kempfert. And his claim to fame was he had a #1 hit in America. Not only was he a record producer, but he had a hit in America called Wonderland by Night. It was kind of turned out to be a trumpet sort of solo. But he came in the club, and remember, this buzz went around, we've got to be good, play really good, we may get a chance to record, which we did. I think he came back 2 times, and then he said, oh, I want you to come in the studio with Sheridan and record, and we got all pleased with ourselves. And then we got to the studio, and he just wanted us to, like, back up Sheridan. I remember feeling a little depressed, but we did, nevertheless, get to do that, My Bonnie.
While we were out there, we started to see other groups and stuff and started to get a little bit dissatisfied with Pete. Not massively, but just a little bit of dissatisfaction started to creep in.
I seem to remember him, you know, starting to not turn up for gigs, and then we kept getting Ringo in.
Ringo Starr, who had changed his name before all of us, and who had a beard and was grown up and was known to have a Zephyr Zodiac, which was a very big car in those days, you know. I mean, nobody had this. It was knockoff, probably. It was, you know, it fell off the back of a showroom. But, you know.
Ringo kept sitting in with the band, and every time Ringo sat in with the band, it just seemed like this was it.
And this happened 3 or 4 times, and then that was the end, you know. We were just pals, and we'd have a drink after it, and then I'd be back with Rory.
And around about this time, Stuart and I got a little bit fraught too. See, because I claim that what I was trying to do was make sure we were musically very good. But this did create a couple of rifts, and I can see now how I could have been more sensitive to it. But who's sensitive at that age? Certainly not me.
Well, when we first met him, he couldn't play at all. When he first got a bass. And he learned a few tunes. Occasionally it was a bit embarrassing. He didn't, you know, if he had a lot of changes to it, he was... But he knew that too. That's why, you know, he was never really that at ease being in the band, and that's why he left when we finished the gig in Hamburg. He decided to go back to art college. At that point, Paul was still playing a guitar, and I remember saying, well, one of us is going to be the bass player. And I remember saying, and it's not me, I'm not doing it. And John said, I'm not doing it either. He went for it.
You tell lies thinking I can't see. You can't cry because you're laughing at me. I'm down.
And he became the bass player from that point on. So then we were a 4-piece band.
I
And then we went back to Liverpool and got quite a few bookings. You know, they all thought we were German. You know, we had builders from Hamburg, and they all said, you speak good English, you know, things like that. So we went back to Germany, and we had a bit more money the second time. So we bought leather pants, and we looked like 4 Gene Vincents, only a bit younger, I think.
Anyway, we got back to Liverpool, and all the groups there were doing this sort of shadows type of stuff.
That's why, you know, we became popular, because they couldn't believe it. There was all these dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum, and then suddenly we come on, wild men in leather suits.
I think it was Pete Best said to them that, you know, I would drive them to the gigs and stuff, and I think I got £1 a night, or £1 a gig, you know, 5 bob off each of them. You know, they needed transport to get them to the Cavern and whatever, because they were using cabs at the time.
We played the Cavern before we ever went to Hamburg, I believe, when, in the days when it was a jazz and folk club. I seem to remember playing there and them handing us these notes saying, stop playing this music. This is a jazz club. So we were saying, well, now we'd like to do this tune by Lead Belly, and it's called Long Tall Sally, you know, we do. And finally they kicked us off.
I'm gonna tell Aunt Mary about Uncle John. He said he had the messy, but he got a lot of fun, oh baby. Yeah, oh baby. Woo, baby. Someone night.
So, you know, the Cavern is their home. It's where they really first started, and where they've played more times than anywhere else.
Had a couple of requests to do a tune called Kansas City, so I'd like to do Kansas City.
So anyway, we did well at the Cavern and attracted some big audiences, and the word got around. What had happened was a kid had gone into Brian's record store and had asked for My Bonnie.
And then he found out that the Beatles was supposed to be a Liverpool band and they were playing the Cavern, so he went down the street and checked us out. Because I remember Bob Wooler, the disc jockey, saying, and we have a Mr. Epstein who owns Nem's Enterprises in here, and everybody's going, ooh, wow, you know, big deal.
This was quite a new world, really, for me. I was amazed by this sort of dark, smoky, dank atmosphere, this beat music playing away. And the Beatles were then just 4 lads on that rather dimly lit stage, somewhat ill-clad, and the presentation was, well, left a little to be desired as far as I was concerned, because I've been interested in the theatre and acting for a long time. But amongst all that, something tremendous came over. And I was immediately struck by their music, their beat, and their sense of humour, actually, on stage. And even afterwards, when I met them, I was struck again by their personal charm. And it was there that really it all started.
But anyway, Brian had this shop, and, you know, it was good. We used to pick up the records, and he had this big Zephyr Zodiac, and he wanted to manage us, and we weren't going anywhere anyway, so, you know, he said, yes, you might as well. Straight away, he got us some jobs, got us a bit more money, and then started getting us radio shows and things like that. And then, you know, as we go ahead, we got into our suits. You know, he talked us out of the leather suits.
It was a bit sort of old hat anyway, all wearing leather gear. And we decided we didn't want to look sort of ridiculous just going on, because more often than not, sort of too many people would laugh. It was just stupid. We didn't want to sort of appear as a gang of idiots. And Brian suggested that we just sort of wore ordinary suits.
It was later put around that I betrayed our heavy leather image that we had at the time, and I wanted us to get suits. But I seem to recall that we all went quite happily. I didn't have to drag anyone there.